So hey everyone, and welcome to another video of our MERN stack series. So in this video we are going to continue with the remaining part of JavaScript. So let's begin. So in the previous video I have actually covered some basics like variables, loops, conditions and operators. So these were some basics of JavaScript which are mandatory before learning more. Now we are going to start with arrays. So arrays are JavaScript method that actually provides a lot to us. For example, if you have some 5-6 variables, so you would be defining variables separately 5-6 times. Instead you can actually define one single array and you can pass the values of all 6 variables at once. So it makes things a lot easier. So arrays are a fundamental data structure in JavaScript that allow you to store collections of items which can be of different data types. Okay, so let's see this with an example. So array can be actually, first of all, you can define it by a const or where or let, it's up to you. Then we have simply given the array a name. Okay, so our array name is fruits. Now inside this we can store multiple values like this. Okay, multiple values like this. So you can see it became a lot easier. You could have defined separate variables for each, but instead we defined a single array. So this made things easier, right? Similarly, we can actually define an array for similar number elements, or we can actually mix them. Okay, we can simply say instead of this we could have had some number. Okay, we could have also had some boolean values, for example false. We could have also got some value like decimal. So this is up to you, whatever value you want to pass, and that's totally fine if you pass multiple types of values into a single array. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Now guys, one more thing, we would now know how to access these things. Okay, so how to access these things, it's very easy. So for example, if I say console.log fruits, if it would directly print the complete array, let's see how it looks. As you can see that we got an array, and 4 simply means the array has 4 elements, and the 0th index has apple, the first index has 2, second index has false, third index has 2.3. So index simply starts from 0 and would end till n-1. For example, your array's length is 4, so 4 equals n equals 4. Okay, so length equals 4, n equals 4. Okay, so actually the index would start from 0 to n-1, that is 4 minus 1, that is 3. Okay, so indexing starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. So indexing would start from 0 to 3. Again, the count is total 4, but indexing starts from 0, not 1. Okay, so if you think that indexing would start from 1, that is, this is the first element, this is the second element, this is the third element, this is fourth. Technically yes, but the indexing starts from 0th index, first index, second index, third index. Okay, so if I'm talking about the last element, I simply mean n-1. So for example, if I want to get the 0th index, if I simply write 0, you would get apple. Okay, if I write 1 here, I would get value at the first index. Okay, if I write 2 here, I would get the value at second index. If I write 3 here, I would get the value at third index. If I write 4, I must not get anything, that is undefined. Okay, so here you can see that undefined simply means that after third index, this is the third index, after this nothing is here, so we have undefined. Okay, suppose I only want to get the last value, how can I get? So first of all, I want to get the length of this array. Okay, so to get the length of this array, I would simply say length of this array is 4, because the elements are 4 elements. Now the last index would be what? 4 minus 1, that is 3, that is length minus 1. Okay, this would actually give me the last index. Okay, so 3 is actually the last index number. Okay, 0th index, first index, second index and third index. Now if I want to get the value of this, I can simply pass it here. So fruits array, inside this I would just want to get the value of last index, so it would actually give me 2.3. okay, so that's how actually things work here. Now guys, inside this we have a lot, like arrays are actually a lot, and what you would do is, let's try to modify some things. Okay, so for example, I'll just say that my fruits equals actually fruits. If I just try to modify it like this, you all know that you can't actually modify any array. Like you can pass multiple values. You can see I just modified the whole array. It's not allowed because this is a const. Okay, so in const it's not allowed, but if it was a let or where, then you can easily modify. That's some separate case. But suppose we are in const, I want to just modify the suppose the zeroth element. So I would just say the zeroth element would actually become banana. Okay, so now if I try to print the, actually I would just comment this out, and now if I just try to print the fruits array, you would see that it's actually changed to banana. Okay, so that's how you can modify the elements in an array easily. Now guys, there are a lot methods in an array, so I'll just write all the methods and I'll explain them how these actually work, and I'll explain them in short. But if you want to learn more, you can watch separate tutorials regarding like proper JavaScript. Okay, these are just for revision, so I've just named them here and you can read them, but let me just explain them directly. Okay, let me just explain them directly. So I'll just comment everything here, and now let's start learning these. Okay, so these are actually all the methods which we have. Let's understand. So push element actually adds element to the end of the array, removes element from last of an array, that is the pop method. Then we have unshift, it would actually add an element to the beginning. Shift method, it would remove element from the beginning. Splice method, add or removes element from a specific index. Concat actually joins two arrays. Slice means it would create a new array by extracting a portion of an existing array. That means if you have an array of 10 elements, you can actually extract 3 elements and create some separate array. Then we have for each, which actually allow us to iterate over each array. We have already discussed this, but we'll again discuss this. Okay, it actually creates a loop to access each element of an array. And then we have map, when you want to do some kind of mapping, that is creates a new array by applying a function. That means you want to apply some operation on each element of an array, then you actually perform the map operation. Then we have filter, when you want to filter out some elements. Okay, then we have reduce an array into single value. For example, you have an array which contains some numbers, so you would reduce it to some sum of the numbers. Okay, for example, if you have 10 numbers in an array, you would reduce it to the sum of 10 elements. Okay, so that's actually known as reduce. Then we have sort, you want to sort an array in some form, for example elements in ascending order or descending order or alphabetical order, whatever you want. Then index of simply returns the index of the first occurrence of a specific element. That means if suppose I have one element which repeats multiple times, then I would get the first index of its repetition. Okay, then after this we have includes, which actually checks for an element. I would like to find that banana exists in my array or not, so I would simply check includes. If it gives true, that means banana element is there in my array. If banana element is not there, then it would return me false. Okay, then we have join method, actually it converts an array into a string by concatenating the elements. Okay, so now let's understand their code. So I'm simply going to write them one by one. So first of all, if I just say that we have an array, so if I just type push method actually would add an element, and then you would simply print this. So you would see that at the end of this array you would have one more element, that is cherry. Okay, so that's how push method works. Okay, so this is actually the push method. So guys, similarly we have the pop method. So suppose you have added an element, so it would actually pop that element. So at the end, suppose you added some element, it would actually pop that element from the end and it would remove that means. Okay, so you have simply popped the element. So this is the pop method, right? So now after this we have one more method, that is shift and unshift. Actually, first of all, let's understand what is unshift. So unshift simply adds an element to the beginning of an array. So it would actually add apple at the beginning of an array. Okay, similar to this guys, we have shift method. Okay, we have shift method which would actually remove an element from the front of an array. So it would actually remove apple from the front of the array. Okay, so that's how you're gonna remove. Right, similarly you have one more method, that is splice method. So splice method actually removes a specific index. So I'm just saying that this is my array, apple, banana, cherry and date. Actually you want to suppose remove an element. Okay, for example, you are just saying that the outcome would actually become that you are finding what? You are finding the second index. Okay, so second index is what? This is the zeroth index, first index and second index. I'm just saying that replace the second index with grape. Okay, just replace the second index with grape. Okay, and one simply means that I only have one element. I am only passing one element. That means I only want to remove one element from the second index. Okay, that means remove one element after the second index and pass grape there. Okay, so it would replace the values. Okay, so that's how you would get the response here. So this is actually splice method. Okay, now guys, after this we have concat method, where you want to join two arrays. So you have two arrays and you would pass concat method and create some other array. So if you pass that some other array, you would get the concatenation of the two previous arrays. Okay, now this was concat method. Similarly, we have slice method. So if you want to just cut out some part of an array, that is, you are just saying that I want to start from first index, okay, and end before the third index. Okay, that means it would end before the second, it would end before the third index. Third index is what, this. Okay, so end before the third index, that means first index, second index. After second index, we had the third index. So don't count the third index, just count the first index and second index. That means start from 1 till this -1. Okay, that means start from 1 till 2. Okay, that's how it would work here. So that's how you actually created a new array with the slice of this, and you actually printed this. Okay, so this is known as slice method. Now guys, after this we have for each method, which is actually applied when you want to iterate over an array. Okay, so again you have an array and you simply say that for each element of this array, I just want to just print things. Okay, instead of this you can perform some big operation like addition, subtraction, or do something else. But yeah, if you want to iterate over each element of this array, you are just simply going to perform this method, that is for each method. Inside this you can do whatever you want. Okay, so you can just do it for each individual element. Okay, so this is a very good method which you are going to use for iteration of an array. Now guys, after this we have map method. So map simply means that right now you can see again I am using similar operation. First of all, I created this array, and now I am just saying I am creating a new array named as doubled, which would contain double of each element. That means 1 would now become 2, 2 would now become 4, 3 would now become 6. Okay, that's what I have done. I have simply said map each element of this array. That means create a new array. It would actually return a new array. Map always returns a new array with whatever operation you want. Okay, so now the double array would actually contain double of each element. That means 2, 4, 6. Okay, so you would actually get 2, 4, 6. Okay, so it would always return a new array with operation on each element. Okay, so it returned a new array. I got the new array with operation on each element. Okay, so that's how you are going to use the map operation. Okay, so now guys, after this we have filter method also. So filter method is always used when you want to, for example, perform odd even method. Okay, so what you can actually do is you can always use the filter method. Okay, so for example, you're just saying that we have an array 1 2 3 4 5, and I'm just saying filter out those elements. I'm just saying only give me even numbers. Okay, so I'm just saying inside this array return only those elements whose remainder is 0. That means if I divide 1 with 2, remainder is not 0. But if I divide 2 with 2, yes, remainder is 0. If I divide 3 with 2, it's not 0. If I divide 4 with 2, it's 0. That means this must be true. If this is true, then only return that element. That means for 1 element won't be returned, for 2 element would be returned, for 3 element won't be returned, for 4 element would be returned, for 5 element won't be returned. Okay, so at the end your output is this. Acha, instead of this, if I just say not equal to 0, so you would actually get those elements whose remainder is actually not equal to 0 once you divide it by 2. So obviously you would be getting odd numbers. Okay, you obviously would be getting odd numbers. Okay, so that's how you can perform the filter out operation, which would actually do some things for you. This is the filter method, and you would be using a lot in React.js. Okay, you would be using this a lot in React.js. When you get some null values or something which you don't want to show in your page, you can actually use the filter method. Now guys, one more thing, that is reduce method. Okay, so reduce method simply says that suppose you have an array. Okay, suppose you have an array, and let me just increase the size a bit here. Okay, so you're just saying that we have an array, and I'm just saying that reduce that complete array into the sum. Okay, into the sum. So I'm just getting two parameters inside this function. Okay, so I'm just creating a function. For each element I'm calling this function, so it would actually get the previous value and the current value. That means it would get the two elements. Initially, the I would just say that accumulator is 0, current value is 1. Okay, initially accumulator is 0, that means start from 0. 0 simply means it would start from 0, accumulator is initially 0, and I'm just saying current value would be 1 for the first iteration. Okay, so I'm just saying add 0 with 1, that means now accumulator is equal to 1, and next time current value would become 2. Okay, so now accumulator equals 1, current value is 2, so it would again become 3. Now accumulator is 3 and the current value is also 3, so it would return 6. Now accumulator is 6 and current value is 4, so it would return 10. Now accumulator is 10 and current value would become 5, that is it would return 15, and the loop would end and output would be 15. That means you would be performing some operations where you are reducing your array into some single digit value, okay, some single value, okay, not all the elements, you are just converting all the elements into some single value. Okay, that's what we are doing here, right? So this is known as reducing an array. After this we have one sort method also. So sort method is very easy. It just simply says you want to sort in some order. By default we have alphabetical order. Instead of this you can have different sort methods, but right now sort simply says that sort array in some order. Okay, so obviously by default we have by default method of sorting an array in the form of alphabetical order. Okay, so if you write dot sort, it would sort things in alphabetical order, right? And if you have numbers, it would sort numbers in number format, okay, ascending order format, right? So this was the sort method. Now after this we have one more method, that is includes method. So I'm just saying I have an array and I'm looking for the word cherry. Okay, so if you have the word cherry, that means it would return true, else it would return false. Okay, so if I just write it like this, it would return me false because cherry doesn't exist. Okay, so if you even if you write the wrong spelling, it won't count it as available. Okay, so make sure you have the correct spelling. Now at the end we have one more method, that is the join method. Okay, so join method is, again, if you have an array and if you are just saying convert each element of the array into a string. For example, you have set of 3 elements, so it would actually convert this array into a string, that means a complete sentence. Okay, it would complete this into a complete sentence, convert this into complete sentence. So now it actually returned me a complete sentence, that is a string. Okay, that's what the join method does, right? So suppose instead of this I would just say that instead of the comma I'm just going to pass this sign, so it would actually pass this sign. Again, it's a sentence, but it has the separation with this value. If I just remove everything, it won't have anything. Okay, so it depends on you what element you want to pass, or you don't want to pass anything. You can also remove the spaces. If you remove the spaces, you can see it's joined like this. Okay, so that's totally up to you. If you want to create it something like this, you can create it something like this. Okay, so these were all the array methods which I wanted you all to know in JavaScript, right? So you would be using these a lot and you can practice these on your own, because these are really important and really would help you in your JavaScript journey. Okay,